The mid-90s were an experimental time. Video games were making their transition to 3D across a variety of platforms, and new media formats like CDs were introducing all of us to FMV-based games that varied in quality, from cool puzzle games to direct-to-video horror slop. The internet was slowly taking shape as dial-up modems became more commonplace. It was a time of bold new ideas. And dumb ones. The 16-bit generation of consoles was winding down, and Nintendo was plotting and scheming their next moves. The SNES was a worldwide success, but for its follow-up they had a number of different directions they could go. 3D rendering was the way of the future, but the technology a home console would need to do 3D well was still very expensive. One path they could take was creating a stopgap, something that didn't fully support 3D but would be cheap to produce and still generate hardware and software sales, like a CD-based add-on for the SNES. Sega did it, Hudson did it, Atari did it. Look how much fun and success they had. So Nintendo started development on a CD add-on but got cold feet at the last minute and left some no-name companies at the altar. Not a big deal. Those Japanese businessmen aren't the type to hold grudges. One area where Nintendo still had unchecked dominance was the portable market. The Game Boy was king, and what competitors there were could only fight amongst themselves for scraps of market share. The Game Boy's chief designer, Gunpei Yokoi, was enthusiastic about a 3D technology they were pitched by a Massachusetts-based startup, Reflection Technology. There was a belief that this technology could be mass-produced cheaply and would be difficult to replicate by competitors. Or no one would be interested in replicating it once they saw the end result. Spoilers. So Nintendo spent 4 years developing a console to take advantage of this technology, and quickly ran into a number of problems. The Virtual Boy originally had much more ambitious design goals, some that would make it much more closely resemble a modern VR headset. There were some prototypes with a color display, but this was dropped both due to it being too expensive and also because the color displays did not perform well with the stereoscopic 3D effect the console was using. They settled on using red LEDs because that's what was cheapest at the time, making all Virtual Boy games render in various shades of red. There were also working prototypes that would mount to your head and featured head tracking so you could look around a virtual space. The final product that made it to store shelves dropped both of these features and came with a stand that was meant to be set on the table. Or you could lay down with it so you don't have far to go when the motion sickness hits you. If you've never used one of these before, the main complaint you'll see about them online is eye strain and headaches, and I can attest to that. I never had any serious headaches using mine, but my eyes would hurt if I played for too long, so I did take frequent breaks. In fact, the console has a built-in timer that would pause the game and suggest you take a break. Just imagine, if this thing already gives people headaches with a static display, trying to do immersive VR with rudimentary head tracking of the mid-90s would probably send people to the emergency room. This thing was first imagined as a portable, and that made it to the end product with a vestigial ability to run on batteries, even when it no longer made sense. What's the point of using 6 AA's when you need to stand this thing on a table or lay down with it? If you have an AC adapter, there's really no reason to ever unplug it while in use. With its monochrome screen and basic 3D effect, the system was already much more expensive than Nintendo's existing Game Boy, and almost as expensive as more powerful home consoles. The high price and the cut-down feature set made the Virtual Boy look unimpressive. Couple that with frequent headaches or nausea when using it, and it's not surprising this thing didn't catch on. There were worries about the system affecting children's eyesight as well, with Nintendo stating it shouldn't be used by kids under the age of 7, and speaking from experience, I used this system for a bit at a young age, and my eyesight is fine. On an unrelated note, I have started using larger scaling options in Windows, and my web browser is defaulting to 150% zoom. It's weird feeling myself become Mr. Magoo in real time. Before release, the Virtual Boy's troubled development was not a secret within Nintendo, and the lead designer, Gunpei Yokoi, was hesitant to release the product with its cut-down feature set anyway. But Nintendo was working on this other thing called the Nintendo 64 that was gobbling up company resources, so the Virtual Boy was kicked out of the nest to make room. The Virtual Boy released to a lukewarm reception, and Gunpei Yokoi left Nintendo shortly after. You make one little multi-million-dollar mistake and you learn who your friends really are. I first came across the console maybe a year or two after it was already discontinued, as my dad bought it on a whim when it was being sold for peanuts by a local store that was trying to get rid of stock. We got a Sega CD and 32X under similar circumstances. Failed consoles are only failures if you pay more than $20 for them brand new.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. What you say?
Okay, so October 1992, $300. 1992, what was that? Oh! Okay, what about the TurboGrafx 16? Okay, TurboGrafx CD launched at 400, and that was 1989. So 400.
You can slip in any one of the sizzling games or any standard audio CD disc and get rocked by mind-blowing CD stereo sound.
So our Virtual Boy console came with an AC adapter and a handful of games like Mario Tennis, Galactic Pinball, which my dad played the shit out of actually and managed to get high scores on every table I could never approach. Also, there was this scrolling shooter I'm too lazy to look up the name of. Most of the Virtual Boy library is made to show off the 3D effect in the most obnoxious way possible.
Oh God, did you see that? It leapt right out at us.
Like old 3D movies, or less old 3D movies. God, please, don't ever let this stupid shit come back into fashion. The games themselves are pedestrian otherwise. But there was one other game we picked up in the fire sale, one game that stood out from the rest. Oh, Vertical Force, that's the name of the scrolling shooter. You had like 2 lanes you could shift to while in a level. But otherwise it played just like R-Type or any other scrolling shooter. It was fine. Also, we had the game in the video title. So if you're looking for a game concept that would really get the most out of a stereoscopic 3D effect, a first-person boxing game is probably the most straightforward idea you could have. The game was developed by Nintendo's in-house R&D 1, the same department responsible for the original Donkey Kong, Mario, and Metroid, so it's got a great pedigree. It is a fighting game with similar gameplay to Nintendo's other famous boxing series, Punch-Out!, only with some slight twists to character control. The Virtual Boy's dual D-pads and the L and R buttons on the back of the pad each match to one of your character's fists, and hitting D-pad directions at the same time you use your punch buttons grants you alternate attacks, like a hook or uppercut in addition to the default jab. You also have normal D-pad directions to duck, dip, dodge, dive, however the meme goes. I haven't seen this movie in forever. That R&D 1 pedigree shines through in the designs and detailed art for the rival boxers in the game. All the in-game characters really have that mid-90s Nintendo seal of quality. They're all composed of multiple large sprites, giving them lots of detail and character. The sprites all move independently to exaggerate character animation and grant the 3D parallax effect, making the most of the Virtual Boy's meager hardware. Despite displaying in only various shades of red, the game looks pretty nice. One of the best looking Virtual Boy games in my experience. Also, these tunes aren't half bad. When you start a new game, you'll work your way through the roster of rival fighters in a linear fashion. Much like Punch-Out, each fighter you face usually has their own gimmick that makes each fight unique, such as fighters that are immune to certain types of punches or have unique attack patterns, and the characters all have exaggerated designs to make their gimmicks easy to read, from Armored Armadillo to a ninja to a kangaroo to a prostitute. You start your career facing off against this game's version of Glass Joe, who is a total pushover. His punches are all slow and his only special attack is telegraphed from a mile away. It's an easy fight meant to get you used to the controls and the game mechanics, and those controls again use the dual D-pads on the Virtual Boy in combination with the L and R buttons. So you basically have jabs that can be aimed at the head or the body, or hooks and uppercuts which only make contact with the opponent's head. Timing hooks or uppercuts shortly before the enemy throws certain punches, uppercuts allowing you to dodge high attacks, hooks dodging jabs, and uppercuts if they are on the opposite side the opponent is attacking from, while also letting you dodge and immediately counterattack usually before they recover. There are also special moves you can get by holding a D-pad direction until your fist starts to glow and then hitting both punch buttons. It's pretty straightforward, and coming back to this game after over 20 years, even though I'm bullying Pajero here, something about the controls feels off. But we'll get more into that later. For now, you can sleepwalk through this first fight, it doesn't really matter. Checking the game's manual, some of the boxers have short backstories, and Pajero is one of them. This robot is piloted by Johnny Bissell. Bissell? Whatever. Ex-captain of the Cookies baseball team. Yes, we have to do the voice. Ex-captain of the Cookies baseball team. Because of his love of violence, he retired from baseball to become a Teleroboxer. He loves punk rock music, but doesn't like to dress like a punk rocker.
Cool.
Pajero goes down quickly, and then you're off to the next one, Spokong, piloted by Big Rick. Rick is looking for his twin brother that he has not seen since he was 15 years old. Originally a pro wrestler, Rick began Teleroboxing to search for his brother, who is rumored to also be a Teleroboxer. Other rumors say that his brother simply ran away from home because he hated Rick.
Cool.
As many kids of the era can attest, game manuals back in the 8-bit or 16-bit generation would often embellish elements of the game's backstory just for some added flavor. The games you're playing may have limited ability to tell much of a story to begin with, so often a few paragraphs of lore in the game manual is the only context you're getting as to why Shinobi is out for revenge, or why these streets are so full of rage. Mr. X and the Syndicate. It's always Mr. X and the Syndicate. The backstories for the boxers here just strike me as weird, though. Why hint at a troubled relationship between Rick and his brother if Rick's brother never actually appears in the game? It just feels like a dangling thread that was included for no reason. Is the player character piloting Harry actually Rick's long-lost brother? Am I the only person on the planet that cares? Anyways, Spokong's gimmick is he has an armored body, so all body shots do no damage. Except when he shifts his head to his stomach, then you have to jab the body to stun him and set up a headshot. It's still nothing too difficult, and he goes down quick. Next up is Dorahei, a German boxer that has no bio in the game manual for me to develop a multi-decade obsession over. He's also 4 years old, apparently a robot piloting another robot. Insert Pit My Ride meme that was never funny. He also has an armored torso that is impervious to body shots and a special screw attack where his head detaches. Still nothing the average player can't handle. The next fight is going to be the first major test. Bombkun, piloted by Picky, a 500-year-old man in a jumpsuit. Tingle. It's just Tingle. This fighter's gimmick is exactly what you expect. The timer is set to go off before the end of the first round, so this fight tests the player's ability to deal out damage quickly. You could limp through the previous fights with next to no knowledge of the game mechanics, just throwing jabs and blocking here or there. But for this fight, you have to use hooks and uppercuts to do enough damage before the bomb goes off. He's not just a punching bag either, as he will dodge and fight back, wasting what limited time you have. So you need to know not only how to dish out damage, but also how to take advantage of openings in his defense, like setting them up by baiting a dodge with a quick jab so you can then hit him with a more powerful strike while he recovers. It's knowledge that will be useful going forward, as the fighters after this start to become much more aggressive, with narrower windows of vulnerability. The next fighter is Prin, piloted by Sherry, who does have a bio in the game manual. Ever since she was a little girl, Sherry's dream was to be a fashion model. However, her tomboy looks and style were more suited to that of a Teleroboxer. Sherry acquired her machine Prin from her friend Dr. Brenner, an engineering professor. Although she doesn't know it, word on the street is that Brenner obtained Prin by stealing it from someone else. So, who is Dr. Brenner? Why is an engineering professor friends with a 16-year-old girl? Why is he giving said girl a robot that he presumably stole? Tune in never to find out. Prin is where the difficulty ramps up. She doesn't have any outright gimmicks like Spokong, she's just really quick and able to dish out a lot of damage. Prin is an aggressive fighter, and her position when preparing to throw a body shot also lets her dodge high attacks, so the best counter is to throw some body jabs of your own into every combination to keep the pressure on. Prin also put all of her points into agility, so sometimes even with proper timing you can dodge and set up a counter uppercut only for it to whiff if she's already recovered. It's annoying. Also, there's her special attack, which is easy to block.
Machine gun jubblies? How did I miss those, baby?
You can usually interrupt it with your own jab, just keep the pressure on. Also, I think here is as good a place as any to bring this up. The game controls and how the game manages hook and uppercut execution. I mentioned before that there was something that felt off about the controls, and it's something I really don't remember from beating this game multiple times 30 years ago, but it seems painfully obvious now. A left hook can be executed by hitting left and the left punch button at the same time, or almost at the same time. There's a short window where you can hit punch after pressing left and hook will still come out, so there's some leeway, but it's very narrow. You have to really aim for hitting the buttons simultaneously in order to get the punches to come out consistently. What ends up happening in fights is, if you've already started a dodge early because you see a punch coming, you can hold the dodge position while the enemy whiffs their punch, but you won't be able to punish with your own attack. You instead have to reset to neutral. This feels awkward. With how fast the fights go, it just feels like you should be able to execute a hook or uppercut at any point in a dodge, but you can't. The more you play, the more you get used to it, but for the first few matches, it just feels wrong. It's not something I remember annoying me when I played this 30 years ago, so maybe my old ass is just having a skill issue. But I just thought I would mention it. I can't be the only one bothered by this.
There are dozens of us! Dozens!
Eventually Prin will go down and have a stage exit that makes you wonder how the devs let this slip by Nintendo HQ. This was mid-90s Nintendo, by the way. Somehow even more uptight than what we have right now. The next fighter is a Kangaroo. It's a kangaroo, complete with a Joey that also participates in the fight, so he's fair game. A Kangaroo is the last fighter to have a bio in the manual, and he's piloted by Kevin Pascoe. The eldest son to grow up at the Pascoe Ranch. Kevin's father wanted him to become an actor, but decided that he didn't have the talent for it. Kevin decided to please his dad by becoming a Teleroboxer champion instead. Now his father hopes Kevin's younger brother will become an actor.
Cool.
Continuing on from Prin, a Kangaroo ratchets up the difficulty with lots of speed and power, and if you do land a punch on the Joey, he'll get angry and even more aggressive. So body shots are not completely ineffective, but they can be a liability. Still, watch his patterns and work the jab to interrupt his slower attacks, and time your uppercuts and hooks where necessary for counter punches. Simple. Next up is the champ, Tukakage. Tukage, whatever. Piloted by Nomoru. No bio in the manual, so we'll never know his tragic backstory of running an abortion clinic or something. He's another aggressive fighter that leans into his ninja pedigree by teleporting around the arena or disappearing entirely to surprise you with a hook or an uppercut. Strategy here is the same as always. Work the jab, and once you pick up on his pattern, throw in some uppercuts and hooks when he leaves an opening. Beat the ninja robot, and you're the new Teleroboxer champion. The end. Or is it? In order to fight the super secret final boss, you have to beat all 7 fighters without losing once. This is something I did multiple times as a kid, so it can't be that hard. Just need to improve my record a little.
Good lord.
Okay, so I'll just start a new game, and the first 4 fighters are gimmies. The real challenge will be beating the working girl without losing once, but I'm sure... I mean, you know, once I get her pattern down, I'm sure... Well, it's just a matter... Wait... Fuck! Am I? Well, it's just... Fuck it, I'm done. I'm too old, too slow. I just don't have it in me anymore. I don't need this. Maybe I'll go do whatever old people do, like play golf or talk about routes to work. Report neighbors to the police for loud music at 7 p.m. Vote fastest into power. Wear khakis.
Presidents retire, generals retire, horses retire, man of war retired. That's what you should have done, retire. Now forget it, kid. You got the heart, but you ain't got the tools. Now forget it, get it.
This is something I did multiple times as a kid, so it can't be that hard.
I'm 37, I'm not old.
I'm not too old for this shit. I'm not too old for this shit. You will not. We're not too old for this shit. We're not too old for this shit. We're not too old for this. Say it like you believe it. We're not too old for this shit. Yeah.
Hey, we're not too old for this shit.
I'm not gonna buy a hemorrhoid cushion.
We're not too old for this shit.
I'm not gonna get corns.
Yeah, I got going, sir.
I'm not wearing a suit.
Hey, what's wrong with wearing a suit? There's nothing wrong with a suit.
I'm on my way. I'm on
So once you make it to the end without a single loss, you're rewarded with the honor of being able to enter your name. The game has not cared what your name was up until this point. I guess they wanted you to prove yourself as champ material first. So after all this build-up, who is the mysterious legendary champ? It's a cat.
Aww.
Fitting his title, this is the most aggressive and hard-hitting fighter in the game. Unchecked aggression and no major gimmicks besides hitting like a fucking truck. A few mistakes is all it takes for your health bar to melt, so keep your hands up, throw out jabs to intercept his slower attacks, and counterattack when you can. It's another cat.
Aww.
So now you are the Teleroboxing champion. Roll credits. The thing with punching the portraits of the dev team is all scripted, by the way. You can't control that, but at the end of the credits, they do grant you control so you can punch the Nintendo logo. It's an odd choice. But the game isn't over yet. Turns out there was a post-game title defense mode. A challenger is randomly chosen from the roster, and their AI is tuned to be even more aggressive than before. But if you lose once, the game is over for real. No rematches. They actually locked your save file so you can't continue.
That's a bit harsh.
So that's Teleroboxer, one of the better games to grace the Virtual Boy in its short life, and a game that has stuck with me because I got it out of the bargain bin for peanuts. Recently, Teleroboxer was one of the 9 games Nintendo has recently re-released with its Virtual Boy add-on accessory for the Nintendo Switch. The add-on has built-in 3D lenses so you can appreciate the games in their original stereoscopic 3D. Why they decided to do this for the Switch and not release these games on the 3DS, which could already render them in 3D without any accessory, is anyone's guess. Even with the relatively high price, I think the Virtual Boy accessory is a cool little thing to have for people that want to give this piece of gaming history a try. Or you could emulate it on virtually anything, the games all play fine in 2D. I recorded this in RetroArch, I got enough eye strain and backaches leaning into this awkward thing back in the 90s. But if you want an authentic experience, there are worse ways to spend $100. And then purchase a Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack membership, so you can rent 30-year-old games and then render that expensive accessory a paperweight if you stop paying a monthly fee. But old man, it's only $4 a month, and you're only a consumer whore. Just emulate the game if you're interested. Don't encourage this shit. Don't encourage it, he says, when it's already taken root in every single console. Remember when Microsoft tried to take their cancerous monthly subscription service Xbox Live and force it onto PC games? Games for Windows Live, the PC version of Xbox Live that is basically malware, tried to lock online play behind a paywall, because the console players rolled over and let them do it. Why wouldn't they be able to do it on PC too? But no, turns out if people actually pretend to have a spine, they can push back against stupid shit like this. But what am I talking about? The age of subscription services is here, whether we like it or not. It's already reached critical mass. There's no turning back, there's no resistance, there's nothing we can do. The war's already over. We lost. I'm rambling. What are you still doing here? Go home. And get your mother something nice for Mother's Day.